at 7 p.m. MST, 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST. But we are a little late. We're dialing it in. So Mars, what are we going to talk about tonight?
We're gonna do the ABCs again, which if you've ever seen the ABCs of our show, we basically just go through the letters of the alphabet and think of subjects that begin with the first letter of the alphabet, which is A, which is what we've done like the past 3 episodes, I think.
Yeah, we're still going on A's right now.
We're still on A. There's a lot of A's to get through. But so far we've talked about subjects like, let me pull it up. What have we talked about? Do you remember, babe?
We've talked about AI, apology, the American dream in the air.
That's right.
We talked about ADM. We talked about
yeah.
So if anyone has anything that they would like to do in the chat.
And we talked about ancient civilizations, astral projection. We talked about addiction. I think you already mentioned that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Astrology. But, you know, cool subjects. Not boring subjects. But if you guys have, yeah, like Phoenix said, if you guys have a subject that starts with A that you think is cool, that you'd like to hear us talk about, go ahead, throw it down in the comments, and we'll talk about it. Because that's how we do. But we also have some preloaded things that we wanted to talk about because we did a little preparation.
Hi, Ray Matthews. Thank you for the taps, guys. Welcome in.
But we wanted to talk tonight about alchemy and attunement. And what was the third one?
Attachment.
Attachment theory. Yeah, that's right. Which those things kind of have some crossover.
They're all some pretty large subjects to cover, and I do want to preface the Femar show with we're both feeling kind of tired tonight.
Hey guys, we're Phoenix and Mars. We feel tired tonight, but we're still gonna do it. Cool. Has anyone posted any subjects they want us to talk about, Phoenix?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, no worries. No worries. We got people cycling in, and we will talk about them shortly. Okay.
If you are just joining, welcome to the Femar show. We are thinking that we're going to discuss attunement, alchemy, and attachment theory. And if anyone else has any topics that they would like us to cover that begin with A, please drop it in the chat. So yeah, we're just getting started now. I'm just going to wait for some more people to hop on. So thank you all for being here. Hi, plastic huggies. Remember plastic love diapers? Yes. Do they still exist? What's up, everybody? Welcome. Was the tape strong? I'm not sure. I don't have a child, so I don't know. I don't know what the tape strength of loves are. If anyone can help plastic huggies, please drop it in the chat.
Okay, sick. Okay. All right. Should we get into it? Start about some weird stuff. All right. So we're doing the ABCs today, and we're talking about subjects that start with A. And the one we're going to talk about today, we've talked about like aliens and AI and stuff like that in the past. The one we're going to talk about today is alchemy.
Hi, Cuz Dames.
And yeah, if anyone knows what alchemy is, it's actually a very deep subject. It's real interesting. A lot of people think alchemy is like this medieval practice that these like old medieval scientists did essentially to take the base metal of lead and turn it into gold.
Which it is that. That is also true.
That is also true. What a lot of people don't understand about it, though, or just kind of the secret sauce about alchemy, I'm going to let you guys in on the secret, is that that's also just a metaphor. So it's both true and it's a metaphor for a psycho-spiritual process of not just refining base metals, but of refining consciousness itself. Which means, like, how do you refine consciousness itself? It's essentially saying that there's some base level of consciousness, some like lead or like poopy level of consciousness that is unaware and asleep. And that level can go through a process to elevate one's mind to the point where it is gold, which gold is like enlightenment, or it's some kind of divine consciousness, spiritual level of consciousness that's achieved. So the whole goal is it's a thing about enlightenment. It's like spiritual elevation is kind of its goal. So that's the real goal of the alchemist. It's not about just metals and gold. Gold is a metaphor.
And what's cool about it too is it does have like a specific process that can kind of go behind it. And? Like there's like blacking, yellowing, redding, like it has all of these, there's like different processes, and like the first part is the blackening, and that's like including shadow work, which we've been talking about a lot recently. So that's kind of like the start.
Totally. So
when it comes to transmutation of emotions.
Yeah. So there's kind of different stages that have been delineated in alchemy. But yeah, the first one that Phoenix is referring to, the blackening, is calcination. And I'm going to go through the kind of 7-stage model because that correlates with like the days of the week, with the 7 moving spheres, planetary spheres, right? The moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and the sun, right? So the first kind of stage with it is calcination, and that's burning down the matter to ash by intense fire or heat. So that's like the blackening. And it's the metal iron.
Anxiety and algorithm.
The planet Mars.
Good one, Brent.
Ooh, algorithm. That would be a cool one. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But essentially, it's like the ego death. This stage, calcination, is like the first ego death. It's a breaking down, a burning away, a burning down things. Through crisis, through harsh realizations. It often begins involuntarily against one's will. And so it's kind of like the call of the hero, if you were going to relate it to like the hero's journey. And it marks the destruction of false belief, of illusions, of ego, pride. And it's like the dark night of the soul. But it's the beginning of purification. So you know, nice and easy. Step 1. Burn yourself down.
So that's the shadow work aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that correlates with the planet Mars, which is like, you know, what I'm named after. But it's Mars is the god of war, so it's kind of a violent stage. And yeah, it is death. And oftentimes death is a new beginning. That's kind of the cool thing
Death and rebirth go hand in hand. It's true.
As is alluded to by your name, Phoenix.
It's true, yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is the Femar Show. We are currently discussing the stages of alchemy, so really large topic to cover right now. We just talked about the blackening, which is also called calcification.
Calcination.
Oh, I'm sorry, calcination. Yeah.
All good. Easy.
So getting into shadow work. Hold on one second. Of this.
Yeah, that one, that's like more of the 4 stages. This kind of breaks it down into a couple more stages.
I'm happy to hear that you got released from jail. I'm happy that you were free.
Okay, so stage 2 is dissolution, right? Which means dissolving the ashes in water, or disintegration of the fixed into the fluid. So that's like you just burned the thing down, and now you're creating a solution with that and dissolving the ashes into a bunch of water.
How can we make this more tangible fluidity, so it's like understandable? It's really gaining clarity is what you're doing in this process. And I think making it like, you know, I think this is such a like philosophical, let's break it all down. Yeah.
So like, interpretation of that, you know, is a metaphor for is like an emotional breakdown following ego death. So this is like the catharsis that follows the ego death. The unconscious begins to flow in, memories, fears, dreams, revealing submerged aspects of the psyche, stuff that you were unaware of. So this is still shadow work. This is where your ego died, the self that you were attached to dies, and now in comes the revelation, in comes realizations, in comes all the unconscious things that you've been tucking away and pushing into the shadows. Now they come to the surface.
Hi, Charles Strauss. Hi, Antonio.
You are faced with them. So this is a time of catharsis, self-examination, surrender, grieving. Dissolution softens the rigidity and allows the intuitive self to emerge. So yeah, that's pretty sweet stuff. And that's Jupiter is what it correlates with. It correlates with Jupiter and the metal tin, interestingly.
And the element of water.
It's true, because that's when the water comes in. And then we get into air. The 3rd stage is separation. So that's like filtering or extracting the pure from the impure. And so it's like, okay, so you have this solution of ashes and water, and now you're like filtering them out and purifying it a bit. So this is like when clarity returns. You're starting to distinguish between what's true and what's BS. You're starting to wash away illusions and separate illusions from the truth. You get to the essence of your being from the ruins of your former self. Yeah.
So you're no longer fooled by your own illusions. You're seeing through your own stories that you've created.
Yeah. And you find what's your true north. Like, what's the real you? It's kind of that stage. And then 4 is conjunction, which is the joining of purified elements, soul and spirit, in new union. This correlates with the moon and the metal silver. And it's all about the union of opposites. So this is like the marriage. There's kind of this concept in alchemy known as the marriage of the red and the black. or the red and the white, sorry, which is the masculine and the feminine. And so the marrying of these elements of masculine and feminine is like the integrating and birthing a new, more authentic self. So this doesn't just mean like a man and a woman by masculine and feminine, but it means the masculine and feminine within each of us as individuals. Like we each have masculine and feminine components. We each have a masculine and feminine component of ourselves. We're all whole human beings. And this would be like the merging and integrating of those parts of ourselves, which is pretty cool. It's pretty freaking sweet. Yeah, and it's like the inner marriage, the inner harmony and meaning that comes from that. So that in itself is pretty sweet if you can make it to that stage. But then it keeps refining further. We're only on stage 4 of 7 stages here, so there's 3 more stages to go.
It's interesting that mine like broke it down in like such a different way.
Well, I specifically broke it down in this way to explain it this way. But yeah, there's multiple ways you can break this down again. Like, yeah, the blackening, the reddening, like that kind of stuff. It all ends up to the same place, which is the Philosopher's Stone, which is like the Sorcerer's Stone from Harry Potter. But it's really like enlightenment is what the Philosopher's Stone is, kind of.
Everybody, if you are just joining, welcome to the Femar Show. We are currently talking about alchemy. So big subject to cover here, big philosophical moment.
It's true.
See how it can apply to your life.
All right. We're going to get into the 5th stage of alchemy. What is it? Fermentation. The introduction of new life into the matter, often through mold or yeast. So this is where stuff starts to get a bit more organic. The metal is quicksilver. The planet is Mercury. So this is getting like a little ethereal, kind of. Like this is the element this is associated with is spirit. So not even fire, water, earth, or air. It's like spirit itself is the element in fermentation. And it's essentially, this is like the mystical stage. This is where like mystical consciousness comes in and spirit and matter start to converge as one. And there's kind of a divine inner union where the divine spirit enters the self. And this is like the beginning of transcendence, often has like, you know, ecstatic mystical visions associated with it, creative breakthroughs, and it symbolizes a spiritual rebirth or like the divine child awakening from within. So this is like the phoenix hatching from the ashes, you know? This is like the rebirth. And then you've got distillation after that, which is the sun, the metal gold. And it's like the refining of consciousness, which is the mind becomes clear and elevated. Old patterns are repeatedly processed until only the highest truths remain. This is the stage of discipline, meditation, spiritual practice. The ego is no longer in charge. Spirit begins to lead. And then finally, stage 7.
Hey Chungus, nice to see you.
Is like back to lead, but transformed lead. And it's now the Philosopher's Stone or the red stone or gold. But so it's like both lead and gold, kind of, this one. And it's like the reborn self manifested fully in this world. With a new wholeness, a new enlightenment, a new embodied wisdom of the soul. And now the practitioner is a vessel of transformation for others. So it's like kind of the vow of the Bodhisattva is like now you've achieved this golden state and you come back into the world informed by that journey that you just went on. And now you can teach others and kind of serve as an example so that you can continue this process indefinitely for all of consciousness. So it's like the vow of the Bodhisattva. pretty intense, pretty wild.
Bird, that was dense. That was really
Super
dense.
But yeah, that's like what actually happened.
So dissolution, purification, integration, and then awakening. That was a really like condensed version of all of that. And this is a process that you can go through with your emotions to transmute heavy emotions like despair and sadness and anger into wisdom and empowerment and clarity. So there you have it. There's my Chungus, yeah, do you want to like come on for a minute and say what's up? Do you remember Chungus?
I do remember Chungus. What
Let's
up,
invite
Chungus? Still in Joshua Tree, dude?
He's
what
not.
are you up to?
Nobody wants to listen to a 10-year-old who lives in the ghetto and unable to go to college. You understand? So it could be the or whatever, but if they're put in a circumstance where they're in the ghetto and have terrible habits from the ghetto and all this shit, and they're not able to go to college because of that, like nobody's gonna listen to them. So they might have this sacred instinct and knowledge and stuff, but just like nobody's gonna give them the time of the day because, you know, yin and yang and the material world manifestation and shit. It's fucking terrible, especially here in America, you know, where we're definitely brainwashed by shit. Like, it's just, you know, Jesus could come back, but the Vatican could lock him up and put him in a dungeon for no one to hear anything he has to say. And like, if Jesus did come back, the things he would say is so next level that I don't think any of us would really understand it, and we might be offended by it and throw tomatoes at him. So it's like something to consider.
Yeah, I've thought of that before too. I think if Jesus came back, he would probably end up in a mental institution in our today's society.
Oh my gosh.
You'd be like, this dude's crazy.
Something like that. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the thing. They say that if he did come back, it would be like the rapture, right? Like they said, the next time he comes back would be something like the rapture or like something of that nature, where it'd be like apocalyptic in scale. Yeah, the Muslims' religion has some pretty good insight on that as well.
Well, they talk about, I mean, Christ consciousness as its own state of reality, state of experience.
Like I think on a different level, you could look at it almost like on an individual scale instead of a global scale. Like in a microcosm, the individual can go through their own awakening, their own Christ consciousness, and go through their own rapture. Which, like, you know, we just described the process.
Right.
Like that is calcination. That's the first step of alchemy, is like a rapture, like a apocalypse, an unveiling, a death. That's kind of what happens on an individual scale as you're having mystical experiences. That's like how it works. So you could just look at even the story of Jesus as a metaphor for one's own personal.
That I don't know.
I
don't know what you about.
It's weird to think about, but essentially, like, I think you could look at it both ways. I think you could look at like the coming of Jesus or Christ as a personal story of enlightenment, just about your own self, or you could look at it as like an actual person who came down and was like an awakened soul and taught others to awaken too.
Both could be true. Not one of them.
It could be a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a state, like, now people refer to it as like Christ consciousness, like a state of consciousness that can be reached.
Well, Christ itself was a title. It was an anointment, right? Like the guy Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua, he was like an actual guy, but the Christ means like the crowned, the anointed. It's a title. It's like the Buddha. It's like the same kind of thing.
That's why he got put up on the cross. That's why because he announced himself as Christ, as as the resurrection of God or whatever in Christ. And so because of that blasphemy, that's why they put him up on the cross. Like it was blasphemy. And so, yeah, that's why they did that.
But that's also a cultural thing. Like if a guy came in our culture and said, hey, I'm God I'm the divine as man, and I'm God's son, and here I am, awakened, we would be like, yeah, you're fucking crazy, go to the mental institution. Like, we would lock him up. Or we would just not care, and they would just be a homeless guy raving on the street. But, like, in India, where they have, like, a text for this kind of stuff, people are like, hey, I'm God, I figured it out, like I woke up, and everyone's like, yay, good job, you did it. And they're like, you can be like a wandering sadhu now, and we'll feed you. And there's a cultural context for people like that to exist, and that's welcome. Like, people kiss their feet and invite them to their house for dinner, and that's just like not how we look at it here, though.
Hi, Ayep. Nice to see you. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We were just discussing alchemy, and now we're discussing Jesus Christ and Christ consciousness and getting into some other stuff. So all belief systems are welcome here. We're just having like an open discussion.
It's true.
India's a little bit different. I think they would allow them, like someone like that in the house as like a duty of sorts, as like something like they say that they can do. Yeah. Like, yeah, like I did that or some shit. I don't know.
Well, that's how it works there. They have people who have mystical experiences like Jesus did, and they're like, yeah, we believe you, and in fact, we respect you, and you have a place in our society. And
hey, why do you think that?
Do that there.
AF says that Ghost is following them.
I think that's part of like the whole Christ consciousness. I think the Christ consciousness is exactly why like the Ten Commandments exist. It was like Moses and himself had the Christ consciousness to actually become one with God and develop the Ten Commandments in order for Christianity to actually sustain itself.
Yeah. What? Man.
Because they would be destroyed.
What even?
If they didn't have the Ten Commandments, they would destroy themselves.
We're
no
interested
law
in reviewing.
Or no like.
Chungus, we're gonna review the 10 Commandments right now, so that we can all be up to date on what the 10 Commandments are. So,
right.
Everyone, stay tuned for the 10 Commandments.
I just want to remember. Okay, no adultery. Don't sleep with your neighbor's wife. Don't do it, Chungus. Honor your father and mother, because they birthed you. You shall not bear false witness. That means don't lie about, don't spread lies about others. Keep the Sabbath holy. Gotta keep that Sabbath holy. Which basically just means, taking a day to remember God and making that day sacred, right? And then and then don't steal. That's bad. Don't do that.
Don't read these.
Okay. You read some of them.
You shall have no other gods.
Oh, see, that one, though. I feel like that one got snuck in there. Because I feel like that one doesn't seem very godly.
That's not very inclusive.
Like, well, I mean, it's like, it makes God seem like he's this dude with an ego. Like, don't you be talking to other gods now. I wouldn't like that.
You shall not.
What does that mean for the other gods that did not? They weren't ever part of that world of the Abrahamic faith, and the pagan gods did not consider themselves like gods in the sense God is God. So what does that say about that? That is that is a question for sure.
All right, you shall not kill, you shall not murder. I wonder why these are two different things. Thou shall not steal, which I thought that we said that. Yeah, there's like some repeats on here.
Oh, whoops. We need a better list.
You shall not covet. This commandment warns against envy and greed and encourages contentment and gratitude of what we have. Hi, Aquaman. What's up, baby? How's it going? And you shall not make idols, a commandment that forbids the worship of idols, which can take many forms.
That one's interesting.
So
too.
there you have it, y'all. That was
1, 2.
we just discussed the 10 Commandments. If you needed a little refresher on that.
We messed them up too, though.
Yeah, I think we said a couple of them twice, so it might have been like
Okay.
Yeah, we said a few twice, but and we talked about some alchemy. These words are repeated throughout every religion since the Anunnaki, who are not religious figures. Aquaman, come chat with us.
Don't take the name of God in vain. That's actually one of the commandments.
You rejected it? Fine. Are you feeling shy tonight, Aquaman? Are you feeling shy, babe?
Shy tonight?
Aquaman
Yo,
needs like just a tidbit of vodka, and then that loosens him up. What'd you say?
Y'all drink? Y'all fucking having some Four Loko?
Four Loko? Oh my god, you're not drinking Four Loko right now.
You savage.
First of all, I'm not a religious person. Okay? I just know like about this shit. I'm not a religious person.
Aquaman, get you some shots.
I think religion.
Chungus,
I do feel guilty though drinking in this conversation.
Say that again.
I do feel guilty drinking in this conversation though. Like, yeah.
That's true.
You're experiencing some guilt right now.
I'm pretty sure that's the 13th commandment is don't drink and talk.
Yeah, which is
Thou shalt not drink and discuss the commandments.
That's true. That's one of them. That's one of the ones we missed.
Oh my
What
god.
was the question? Where you asked me where am I? What was the question?
Oh, I was gonna ask you where you're at right now. It looks so beautiful. Is this your new place?
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to show you. I was like, you know, like, let me, like, I just got my new place now. I've been in here a week now. And I'm like, you know, like, where's everybody at? Like, let's, like, yeah, let me go on guests and, like, I was excited and shit. Yeah, this is my new place. This is my dining room. Like, right there. I got a table right there.
Wow, look how much light you get in there.
I put the Yeah, I can eat seafood and I can see my food. It's let there be light, you know? Like it's amazing.
I love that for you.
It's just a one bedroom house though. It's like it's not really that big. It's actually kind of old and it's kind of small. This is the best room in the place. Actually, I'll show you all like the place.
Give us a quick little tour.
Give us a little tour.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're looking around Chungus's new place.
Yeah, there's
love the rug, gorgeous. The drum, ooh.
Four logos.
Oh my god, you.
And then Pine Sol.
Y'all, don't try this at home, okay?
Don't drink Four Loko or Pine Sol.
Yeah, we advise against. This is not advised by the Femur Show, not recommended. Lovely, nice.
Dang.
All the space you could need.
This is a sweet ass crib.
Yeah, baby.
We like it. I like that orange couch. That's nice.
Lovely. This is all the space you could really need. Yes, the exposed beams. Beautiful. What size bed you got?
And then second, it's I don't know what size is queen.
Yeah, it looks like a queen.
What I don't like about this bed is it's too fucking soft. It is too fucking soft. I can't like. I need a hard bed. I need a hard fucking mattress.
You can get maybe a little mattress topper that's a bit more firm.
Yeah, probably. And then my favorite piece that I can never throw away is the cow right there. I don't know if y'all remember that from last time.
I'm pretty sure that that's a
With that
buffalo, and buffaloes have been
signature
like
cow.
following me around recently.
Wait,
Buffaloes have been like,
It's a Scottish Highland cow.
it's a what cow? It's a Scottish cow?
Scottish Highland cow.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Scottish. Yeah.
where's Narubo? Hi, Autothought. Nice to see you. Okay.
I know. Speaking of Scottish Highland cows, where's the real cow?
Thank you, Autothought, for the Christmas hat. That's so special.
Oh, shoot. What is this?
Mars is playing some Taylor Swift right now on his phone.
No, I'm not. Leave me alone.
All right. What should we? Okay, so we just discussed. What did we just talk about? The 10 Commandments and alchemy. What was the other thing that we were going to get into?
Someone suggested algorithm.
Yes, they also suggested anxiety. We did cover anxiety before. If there's any specific questions that anyone has on anxiety, drop it in the chat. We're not like experts here, you know, but we're just like riffing about topics that we're interested in, so we don't claim to be in any expertise on these topics.
You know, we are experts on some of them, but most of them not. But, you know. I was going to talk about, what was the A one you came up with?
Attachment theory?
Attachment theory. Yeah, we could talk about attachment theory.
What was the other one? Oh, attunement was the other one.
Attunement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whichever one you want to go into.
Yeah.
Chungus, do you have a preference on what to discuss between attachment theory, attunement, or algorithms? Thank you, Ayip. Thank you so much for the Polaroid.
I know a little bit. About algorithms when it comes to like programming or just like technical shit. But attachment and attunement or whatever, I have no idea what that is.
Talk to us about algorithms. What do you know about the algorithm?
Tell us about the algorithm.
Well, it's not something I have expertise in. Like, I remember we were talking about AI and stuff like that in the past. Like, I know a little bit about automated like machinery and stuff like that, having experience working on that. Algorithms is definitely something more on the scale of like web browsers and like seeing what's hot and pairing it with like data that people collect on you, I guess. And like I think that's what maybe algorithms is, but yeah, I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of problematic how the media and the internet for us, like our phones, have just kind of become this self-reinforcing thing where it tends to it seems like it kind of just tunnels us into one way of thinking and just kind of entrances us. It's almost like in a way that technology entrains us and just hypnotizes us into like one way of thinking.
It's because if we show interest in one particular area, then all it does is give more information about that particular area instead of like expand our perception.
Yeah.
With like, other ideas that don't quite agree with that one idea.
But they could train the algorithm. They could look for connections that we probably don't see and put that in there. They could train the algorithm that way. I guess the best example for an algorithm is like a horsefly, right? Like a horsefly.